You know those questions that people usually ask you to make it look like being poor is actually a good thing? The whole thing of would you rather cry in a Range Rover than laugh on a bicycle or a bike? I've always found them to be very, very odd because to some degree, much as you can probably laugh on a bicycle, you're probably trying to anticipate the next bump, pothole, or driver that's trying to hit you, so there's no time to start laughing. Plus, if you tried laughing on a bike, well, you'd probably end up eating a fly, being hit by something you didn't want. And anyways, the amount of air that blows past you is so much that even laughing isn't one of those options that you'd have. You didn't have enough air to laugh. So it does make me question, do some of those people actually have any experience being on a bicycle or a bike?
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
I'm gonna come out on a limb and just state for the fact that I do not like that question. I honestly hate it. Because to some degree, much as yes, people will use that question and make it seem like, oh, at least I'm happy with the little that I have, which is good by all means, for some reason, it makes a lot of people kind of make the idea of having less a good thing, which isn't always necessarily the case. Because when you kind of think about it, it's not like the person in the Range Rover will be crying in that Range Rover every single day. And also, people forget that sometimes people are crying tears of joy. What if you're crying tears of joy because you made an extra 100 mil? Huh? You're in your Range Rover, you're driving home. You made an extra 100 mil. You didn't even see that time coming. Like you didn't even imagine making that much money. And then you start crying, and then someone sees you, even though you have the windows rolled up, you didn't put any tint in anything. So you can be seen and people are seeing you crying. People might be thinking, oh, she's crying in that car. Oh, you're in this good car. It's good to have less. Probably they did something bad. They don't know that it's tears of joy. And if anything, people like to ignore the fact that when you look at a bicycle or a bike, when you're riding it in the rain, you're not exactly laughing. You're probably crying those same exact tears that the rich person was probably crying when the sun was out. But you know what? I don't want to be the person reminding you that money is a good thing because, well, it's one of those things that you realize for yourself once you have a little bit of money and then you end up blowing all of it. So I might as well just let you do that. Then you remember that having money is a good thing. And then this entire question should pop up in your head and you will think to yourself, you know what? I'll take the Range Rover first, then I can discover what the tears are for. And anyways, I have a podcast to do. And that's what some of y'all clicked on this link for. So we might as well start. So in typical fashion, welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who wants a Range Rover and not necessarily a bike, unless they're coming one plus the other. He is a man who likes his women the same exact way he likes his yogurt. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes, your weekly love, sex, and relationships show, where I get to say something about women get to feel something, then someone says that it's sense, and then I realize that I can spew a little bit of sense here and there, and people will actually find my content fairly authentic. And then I continue making other episodes. Now, actually, speaking of episodes, someone on Castbox actually asked if we could do the series that I used to do every season called The Talk. Now, for those of y'all that don't know what The Talk is or haven't been listening long enough to know what The Talk is, The Talk was sort of like a sub-series of Battle of the Sexes that I have been doing since season 1. And I'd go in and talk just primarily about sex and full-on bedroom matters. Now, I do have to admit, last season I kind of shelved it and I decided not to do it, partially because I had done, I think, 2 episodes of The Talk on one season. So for the sake of, keeping the numbers consistent to the season, I figured I shouldn't. Plus, I didn't feel like there was anything more that I could add. But because somebody has asked for it and 1 or 2 people have mentioned that they liked that particular episode or those particular episodes, I want to pose the question to you guys. If you want me to continue doing The Talk, I will do an episode for this season and continue. And if you do want me to do it, you can also suggest what it is that you'd like me to talk about in terms of bedroom matters, and I'd be glad to do that. So yeah, figured I should drop that on you guys. As usual, you can always just hit me up on the DMs on Instagram at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside, and on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs at Bagaka the D and leave your thoughts and comments there. But that aside, we should move it on to the main topic. But before we get to that, I do have a bit of an issue. Now, a certain online personality by the name of Karen Nyamu, who also happens to be the director of the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company, just so happened to come out and state that she does not intend on getting married soon. Now, by all means, that's everyone's decision to make, or, anyone's decision to make, because it's a personal one. My issue is why she said that she doesn't want to do that. She claims that apparently she's been receiving a lot of texts, she's been getting hit on, and a lot of people who've been sliding into the DMs are apparently married guys. And she claims that if she does get married, it'll just end up happening to her. And that's where my issue kind of is, because just because a bunch of married people are doing it doesn't mean that all married men will go and cheat that same exact way. And I'm not saying that they'll just cheat, I'm saying that not all married men do that. Like, there's married men that are very, very faithful and don't necessarily want to slide into the DMs of women, except the ones that will decide to slide into the DMs of guys, which is an entirely different story in itself. Now, much as I'd like to go on and on about the idea that, just because some married men slid into your DMs doesn't mean that all married men are bad, like, let me even try and put it into an example. Like, just because rats will go into the house and bite through a lot of things doesn't mean that all rats are bad. Okay, that's probably a very bad analogy. Kill as many rats as you can if you ever find them in the house. But let me use another example. If you see somebody that seems to praise a lot of Future's work, and they belong to the streets and they screw every babe they can and they leave a baby in there, and 3 out of his 5 best friends just so happen to also have 2+ baby mamas, it doesn't mean that the other 2 who might have 1 baby mama each, when they come and hit on you, will want to produce another baby in you and then go and get another baby mama. Okay, actually, no, that's actually a very, very bad analogy. There's a pretty good chance that they're trying that. I don't know. Today it seems like I'm really messing up with examples. I don't know. For some reason, it just seems like it's not working. But just because women from central Kenya like to use water and potatoes as seasoning doesn't necessarily mean that all the women there can't cook. There's actually a lot of women that can cook really, really well. And this is something that I've actually experienced for myself. Trust me, I know. So, in a sense, the whole idea that, you're not going to get married because married men have been into your DMs is kind of a bit moot of an argument. Because in a sense, you could just say that you need more single people to slide into your DMs. That would help things a little bit better. It would probably mean that now single guys know that they can shoot their shot, because you look like you're a pretty upstanding woman, and you seem thick enough that most guys would probably enjoy themselves with you. Plus, as someone with a kid, I think you'd probably make a pretty good mother and wife. I'd like to think that, but just at face value and shit. Although, actually, now, jokes aside, I will admit that I think that there's a very, very logical reason as to why it is she's choosing not to go that route. And it's got to do with karma being a bitch. Because for those of y'all that have been keeping up with a lot of the trending news that's been online on Kenyan social media, she apparently has been having a kid with a married man. And, well, I'm not much of a fan of karma, but I believe the saying is what goes around comes around, what goes up must come down. So, in a sense, it could just be her trying to avoid a situation where her husband has a kid with another woman. Because that would kind of make the situation of her complaining the pot calling the kettle black. And she's anticipated it, and she's ahead of her time, and she's trying to avoid such a thing from happening. Could be a very, very smart move when you think about it. But, well, I honestly can't say much about it. Maybe she's genuinely looking forward to the idea of, being a nice single mom and shit. And, well, I did kind of forget to mention that she did say that they're good marriages and somebody's opinion is shaped by their experiences. So maybe she just needs to get an experience with a good married man and then she can probably get married. Or she could just get married to one of the married men and become a second wife or some shit. But anyways, that is entirely up to her. I wish her all the best. And we should probably move it on to our main topic. But before we do that though...
Do you have controversial opinions? Do you like to engage in political commentary? Are you interested in current affairs? If so, this is Bunge is the podcast for you. You can catch myself, Sandrine, Jagame, and Nalo every week under Kenya Public Radio.
Now, moving it on. Over the weekend, while I was on Instagram, I happened to stumble upon a recorded clip from one of the radio shows on Kiss 100, and I figured it would be something pretty interesting that we should definitely talk about. Now, the clip is about 4 minutes, and because I don't want to spend 4 minutes of the podcast giving you a lot of information, let me just give you a bit of it that I found to be the most important, which I will definitely talk about. So, here it is.
On the streets, I understand. Because these days, Chile's date us in shifts. Kuna boyfriend wa Monday to Friday. Alafu kuna boyfriend wa weekend. And who wa weekend can be anybody. Wa Monday to Friday is that one boyfriend who in his head believes in Valentine's, believes that I know where this chick comes from, I know her family. And maybe even this Chile has a toy. So this is the baby daddy. And then there's the boyfriend who appears on the weekends, who takes away this Chile and whisks her to, all those escapades. Mmechukua ma Airbnb, anakukula mnakulana. Lakini shida ni on Monday huyu dem ataenda. And the next time you meet that Chile in the club, she will not be looking at you the same way. She'll be now waiting for another adventure. And those are the most dangerous women. And that's what Kenyan men have turned Kenyan Chiles into right now.
I like that last line. I will say it again. That's what, who of what of what?
You see, we thought we are cheaters. Like the animal.
Oh, no.
We can do our thing and just go about it and eat our cake.
No.
And still have it.
Bro, the cake is eating us now. Our madam tonight are team players. Yeah, because if you are there, you think you are a player, she's doing the same thing. So, yeah.
Now, this discussion was being done by the 3 presenters, being Kamenegoro, the lady, one of the guys called Jalango, and the one that was giving a lot of these comments being a man called Shafi Weru. And, well, much as I hate to spoil my own endings and give people spoilers of the end, I am actually going to start by giving you the conclusion to this. Regardless of where it is that you are, regardless of the situation that you're in, regardless of the society and the people that you are with, you cheating is entirely your choice. That's it. It's entirely your choice. There, I've given it to you. Now, let me go into breaking everything down into like the 3 phases of things that Shafi kind of spoke about. Now, he spoke about women are cheating on guys on the weekends, and I do have to agree. This is something that I've seen and I've heard happening time and time again. There's a lot of babes that will be with their guy from Monday to Friday, then they'll probably supposedly quote unquote go do something with the girls over the weekend. And well, to be completely honest, the only time where there's a lot of girls in that situation is when they're at the club or when they're meeting with a certain kind of guy, and they will probably change guys weekend on weekend. The only thing that I can probably say that he forgot to mention is the fact that it's not that this just happens in the weekends. This happens during lunchtimes on the weekdays as well. He probably forgot to mention that bit, but there's a lot of babes that seemingly seem to go and bang people in the middle of the day during lunchtime. Yeah, there's actually quite a number of them that do that. And much as I would like to attack them and, tell them that this is wrong, this is bad, how dare you do such a thing, firstly I have to say that it's brilliant. It's probably one of the most brilliant times that you can actually do it, because when you think about women in relationships, when you think about women in marriages, and you look at how their time is kind of accounted for, they are accountable for their time at every single point except lunchtime. Because just think about it. If they're not at work, they're probably at home, or they're probably meeting up with friends that the mans will probably have to know about. And if it's a lady who's married with kids, she's probably picking up the kids, or she's stuck in traffic, or she's at home cooking, or she's attending to something, or she's probably asleep. But she will have to give some level of accountability for that time. But you think about it, it's lunchtime. It's a very nice gray area because it's part of your working time, but at the same time, it's not exactly part of your working time. It's your own personal time, but you don't exactly have to account for it to anyone as to what it is that you did during lunch break. So you can go do a nice quickie at a fast Airbnb or at a hotel or something, because this is something that happens, and get your love on. And well, if the person is prone to quickies, I guess it works out for you. But if it's those people that like to bang on for hours and hours, then I'm sorry, y'all will have to do that shit in phases. So like Monday, foreplay, Tuesday, insertion and shit. You get the point. But anyways, bottom line, I find it a bit of a brilliant thing, but still, it's cheating and I am not a fan of it. Now, I will admit, yes, women doing this is something that has been influenced by guys. Guys are responsible for this. Men have been doing this for a very long time. We're not the only influence, but yes, guys have been a pretty huge influence on this, because guys used to do this, and they would do this thing where they have this very loyal, faithful babe, and they will be good with them, they'll always chill with them, spend time with them and shit. And then all of a sudden, once it gets to the weekend, they're like, oh, I'm chilling with the boys, oh, me and the boys are doing ABCD, and he'll probably go and spend time with the boys, but not too much time, and at some point, he'll end up diverting and he'll go and he'll bang a babe. Or he'll say, me and the boys are going on a road trip to Naivasha. They go to Naivasha, they go pick up random babes, and they sleep with them. And it's something that's happened from time to time. They've done this time and time again, and it's not a very good thing. But because we as a society haven't exactly shunned it, we've promoted it, and we've kind of given it space to grow and have it almost normalized to some degree. So when the women kind of looked at it and, they were all faithful and shit, and they noticed so many people were doing it, then, well, not to use the whole Roman phrase, but, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. And that's what they've kind of done. They've kind of picked up the idea that, have a guy from Monday to Friday, he's loyal and shit, but once the weekend checks in, I'm gonna get my fun on with somebody else. And yes, like he said, the cake is actually starting to eat us now. And the most unfortunate part about it is, it's not like it's something that's stopping. There's a lot more people that are picking it up. This is part of the reason why you are hearing married people are hitting on single people way more than single people are hitting on other single people. I don't know, at this rate, I'm thinking maybe if I get married, maybe if I get into a relationship, I'll know how to hit on people better. But, well, discussion for another time. But I digress. Back to the main issue. Now, women have kind of gotten into this lifestyle of cheating kind of the same way that guys are doing, and because a lot of us guys don't focus on the details, we tend to miss out on a lot of the signs that women would have probably picked up on if they were in the same position, and it's something that's becoming a bit of an issue for our society right now. And yes, we can blame the fact that men have been doing this, but we kind of have to admit the media is kind of also to blame. Because when you look at it, the media helped normalize such a behavior. Because most people won't know that it happens unless people shout about it on top of roofs. People didn't know that a lot of the ladies in the rural areas used to bang boda guys up until people started talking about it and putting it on the media, whether online, whether regular traditional media, or even social media. If people weren't doing that, not that many people would have actually known about such a thing. And the whole idea of guys and guys cheating wasn't normalized until people like Maina and Kageni on Classic 105, at least in Kenya's case, started making this thing seem like a bit of a normal situation. Women would call about it. People would talk about it time and time again, almost on a day-to-day basis, up until it started sounding like a normal thing. So, to some degree, instead of blaming the guys, we should also blame the media as well for influencing society to find this normal and normalizing it into a thing that is actually happening day to day. But that being said, that being laid out, I still need to come back to the women. and I still need to tell this to every woman and man that is listening right now. Wherever you choose to cheat, however you choose to cheat, with whoever you choose to cheat with, whether or not the society was doing it or chose to be loyal, you still need to accept one thing. Your relationship is not your partner and the boys. Your relationship is not your partner and the girls. Your relationship isn't your partner and the rest of your bros or society or a certain group of people at work. Your relationship isn't the club of people that you're supposedly with. Your relationship is your partner and you, only you. If you have a side piece or anything and your partner is faithful, then you can call it character development, and if the both of y'all are cheating, then team players and team building and shit. But aside from that, you are not in that relationship with your partner and other people. It is just your partner and you. And with that in mind, your decision to cheat, even though influenced by other people, is still going to be your decision to cheat. If someone forced you into it, then you can call it, rape. If someone blackmailed you into it, then it's technically blackmail. If you're being extorted, if it's something that requires some level of force, then I guess that's justified. But that aside, whether you say that she was such a fine babe, or it just happened, or I tripped and I fell into her vagina, or I tripped and I landed on his dick, or I was doing a sex education experiment, or some pastor told me that I'd receive blessings and I'd be very successful if I took his nut or her nut, or Nairobi, whichever one of those excuses you can dish around and drop with your partner, you still need to accept one thing. The decision to cheat, that was entirely your own. And that brings me to the same conclusion that I started with and haven't changed. Regardless of the place that you're in, regardless of the situation that you are involved in, regardless of the people and the society that you are with and a part of, your decision to cheat was entirely your own and is still entirely your own. But anyways, do you think that I've taken this to a bit of a harsh extreme? Do you think that it's more than this and there's more gray areas to it? I want to know. The DMs are open. On Instagram, it is at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs, which is at Bagaka the D. The B and the D are capital. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end. And if you are on Castbox, feel free to drop your comments there and I will attend to them accordingly. And I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.